said, we shall be looking at good housekeeping for the safety moment in this session. So much of good safety is really just good common sense. And the thing is that as we walk around our offices on a daily basis, we must be aware of things that would generally, summarize, as a good housekeeping. So what is good housekeeping? Of course, good housekeeping is just to make sure that you don't have anything that will pose a safety concern in your place, anywhere you are, basically. Now, we will be looking at very briefly a few keys to good safety awareness. The first one is you need to work at what areas are kept clear and tidy. So what areas should be kept clear and tidy? By this, I don't mean emergency exits. So I'm talking of not emergency exits or fire exits, or areas where you have your colleagues or customers maybe walking through. But all areas are kept clear and free of debris, rubbish, boxes, and no obstructions. Because no matter how small the obstruction is, it can pose a safety issue, and one may get injured. And the other one is talking about our drawers. Sometimes drawers are left open. So if they are not in use, they should not be left, be left open, because if they're left open, sometimes they could extend to a point where they could pose an obstruction. And then the other issue is chemicals must not distort. Chemicals must be stored, and they have to be labeled correctly. Because if chemicals are not labeled correctly, there are chances that they might be put to wrong use. If you label, an acid, and you label it as water, then somebody can use it as water and get injured. So we have to ensure that chemicals are stored and labeled correctly. Then the other issue is on ventilation and heating. Yeah. So we have to ensure that the organization that we work for, provides a reasonable working temperature in all working areas. The temperatures must be reasonable, not too cold and not too warm for comfort. Then the other issue is safety signs. Safety signs must be provided at all appropriate times and for all valid reasons. Yes, safety signs must be provided. Safety signs are in some places you see, depending on the industry, there are signs where you are told that you need to wear this, you need to wear this, you need to wear that. So this adhere to. This thing must be the place where these things are kept must be clearly, indicated. And also the place, like I said, the place must be tidy anyway, because we're looking at ensuring that we have, other places, are tidy. They don't pose any obstruction, to us. So much of food safety in the office is really just good common sense. Yeah. So it's good to just think safely, act safely, and be safe. These are the basic principles of safety. So very good housekeeping is key. So I think, like I said, it's a very brief safety moment, and it's good that we adhere to these principles so that we don't get injured by ensuring that those things that can constitute safety menace or obstructions in our workplaces are eliminated before the hand to us. Thank you very much. Are we? Did you get what I said? Just to ensure that I'm being ahead.
Yeah, we had you. We got it.
Okay. So I want opening briefing to come from, I can see from here.
What was really I just
Somebody talking? Dr. Mohammed, are you there? Dr. Malabi, are you there? Can anybody hear me, please?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, yes, I'm trying to get across to Dr. Malami, but it appears he's not hearing me. What of Bashir Inua? Hello, Bashir Inua? Okay, so Engineer Mamoud, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm trying to get somebody to give. Okay, yeah, I can see that Professor Adefila has joined us. I welcome, Prof.
You're welcome. As I was behind you, that's why I didn't see me.
No problem. So please, can you give us, let's have the honor of getting the opening remark from you, Prof, please.
Opening prayer? Opening
remark.
Opening remark, okay. Thank you very much. Even though I didn't mark before, I can still remark. Can I? So, I want to welcome us to today's webinar that has come to stay. The administrators, they have shown that it is sustainable, and I'm sure it will remain continuously sustainable. I am sure that if I say that the society is proud of you, I'm sure that I'm saying the minds of the national president and the deputy national president. And it is so elating to see constant faces and new faces coming in. It means there is referral going on and new people are coming in. I'm very sure that a lot of the recommendations which I've made before, that is being able to have all these lectures in series, will happen very soon. And I want to believe that universities will start making requests for these things for their students, and also inviting some of the lecturers here to lecture their students also virtually. I'm very, very sure they're going to do it free. With this, I just want to stop here. I'm almost too sure that we are going to enjoy today's lectures again. That's why we are all here waiting. We're actually thirsty, waiting for the lecture. Thank you very much, Dr. Dadet. Thank you for all the other administrators. We thank you very much. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. And also kudos to you as well, because you are also a regular participant of this event. And I can tell you that we get inspired anytime we see people like you, joining us. And that's the reason why we are encouraged, to keep fostering, this. So thank you again, Prof. Chancellor. So we will now go straight into the business of the moment. Today we shall be having a presentation on the sustainable development goals, the role of engineering. And this is going to be taken by the coordinator, which is who is Dr. Engineer Mamoud Abubakar. So, Engineer Mamoud, go ahead, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please confirm that you are hearing me.
Good evening.
I am hearing you clearly.
evening,
In fact,
sir.
clearer than we are hearing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, Engineer
I also
Mamoud.
need a confirmation that you are seeing the
Sir, we
screen.
can hear you.
Yes, you can see
hear
that.
you.
You can see the
We are
screen. Thank
hearing,
you.
we are seeing.
The screen.
The screen is working.
Okay.
Thank you
very much.
Dr. Mamoud. Yeah, we are seeing.
Yeah, just a little correction. I'm not a doctor yet,
Okay, sir.
and I'm not saying, they say never say never.
Okay, sir.
Maybe one day.
It was the slip of tongue. Sorry about that.
No, it's
Thank
okay.
you.
It's a
Thank you.
higher one now, so
Slip of tongue.
it's a good sleep. Now, the topic of our presentation today, as mentioned by the moderator, is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And we are looking at the role engineering can play in achieving these goals. What we'll be looking at, first of all, we need to see what the problem really is, which is the carrying capacity of the earth. And we'll see what are the sustainable development goals. Then we'll look at the general role engineering can play with specific focus on our own profession, the chemical engineering. Then we also have recommendations on how we can enhance this contribution. Then for the references, I have about 12 of them in the last slides, because sustainable development goals is a very wide area. There's 17 goals, and each one of these can take a chunk of resources in terms of presentation time. So this being a highly condensed presentation, I tried to mark areas where additional information can be obtained. So you see this as we go through the presentation. First, the carrying capacity of the earth. We are all aware that our livelihood, that's we humans, depend entirely on the environment. All the resources we use are derived from there. The food we eat, the clothes we wear, the houses we live in, the energy we use, everything comes from the environment. And as a result of this, as our quest for survival, as our quest for development, we've plundered these resources, we've overexploited it, the resources leading to mass extinction of species that provided support for regeneration of these resources. And at the same time, we also throw in waste. We have plastics everywhere in the ocean that has become a significant concern. The CO2 and other polluting gases that deplete the ozone layer that is causing climate change. We strive in order to feed ourselves. We try to improve the nutrient in the soil through the use of inorganic fertilizer. And as a result also, we pollute groundwater resources and alter the balance of the soil, leading to soil degradation. Now, for a very long time, we believe that the capacity of the earth to provide us with these resources that we need is infinite. We also believe that its capacity to absorb our waste is infinite, because we throw in anything to it until maybe sometimes late in the 80s or early 90s that we started thinking of treating waste before discharging. The turning point came during the 1992 Royal Arts Summit, where heads of governments across the world forged a global alliance to combat climate change. Now, there are several other treaties in between from that time to date. The most recent being the Paris Agreement in 2015 and in 2016 in Kigali, where the ozone depleting substances phase out protocol in Montreal was also amended. Now we know there are limits to the life-sustaining resources the earth can provide us. There's a carrying capacity for human life on our planet. Today, the world population is estimated to be 7.2 billion. And the rate, as at this time, we've already overshot the threshold of sustainability. Experts say that it will take about 1.75 of the earth to sustain our current population. If we continue to behave the way we are behaving as at today, we need 1.75 to survive effectively. And in the next 30 years, that's by 2050, when our population would have reached 9.5 billion, we need an equivalent of 3 Earths. Now, we see the result of that, or the impact of this is highly enormous. You can see the population. This record is taken from 1750 to 2019, up to last year. So you can see from 1950 how the population started shooting up significantly. The quantity of, likewise, the quantity of oxygen we are generating, and the temperature is also going up. You can see the rate at which we are losing tropical forest is also increasing at an alarming rate. Ocean acidification, methane gas generation, which is one of the high value ODS gases. The rate at which we also use primary energy, you can see, and at which we extract water. Then there's something that we should notice very common with all these impact areas. From 1950, significant change, very significant change from 1950. This period coincides with the period, around the period the Second World War ended, and the desire to accelerate technological advancement as well as economic growth. It also coincided with the period which the digital computer was invented by IBM. That was the first digital computer, came into surface in 1944, which assisted the significant acceleration of the development. Now, understanding what the problem is, where do we go from here? Now, there has been 3 schools of thought. The dominant ones, there are many, but the dominant ones that you can find, there are 3 major ones. Those pushing for technology, the technological geeks that are saying we need to use technology, reduce human dependence, we need to smarten our cities. We already have electric cars, 0 emission. People are proposing the use of the hologram technology, both digital and transmission is already there. You can make presentation in another part of the world without being physically there, and you will be seen physically within the midst. People are pushing for teleportation, smart vehicles, even smart processes using AIs. So there are this group. Then the second group feels that our population is the problem. We need to depopulate. Then a third group of thinking is we need to change our behaviors. We need to change the way we think, the way we see things, the way we use and discard. Now, but in the real sense of it, change must come from a combination of all these three. We need to adopt human-centered initiatives targeted at improving eco-supportive technology, addressing population growth, and also changing our consumption habits at the same time. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals was put in place in order to address these challenges. It is coming after the Millennium Development Goals has elapsed its time scale. Millennium Development Goals was launched from 2000 to 2015. So at the end of 2015, analysis was conducted and understanding the successes and the failures. Then the 17 SDGs was brought up and it was passed at the UN General Assembly in 2015. Now, if you look at reference number 5, you find that resolution there. And you look at reference number 6, you see details about Millennium Development Goals. Now, most of us are already aware of what sustainable development means. In simple terms, it's a development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It means meeting human needs at the same time, sustaining the ability of natural systems to provide the ecosystem services upon which our economy, our livelihood, our society depends. The desired result is a state of society where living conditions and resources are used to continue to meet human needs without undermining the integrity and the stability of the natural systems that support it. Now, we now look at each of the Sustainable Development Goals quickly. Time will not permit us to go into details, but like I say, those references, you need details, you can always find it everywhere. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and altogether, they have 169 targets to achieve by 2030, effective from 2016. The first one is to end poverty in all its forms by 2030. That's the key target there is to reduce the people living in poverty by half, by 50%. So people living in poverty is defined as the people, any people that are living on less than $1.25 a day. That is equivalent to roughly about 500 naira per day. So that's what this means is that whatever you're earning, the household's earning, the total household's earning divided by the number of people, that's what this is talking about. Not $1.25 per household, it's per person. The second one, end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. The third one is ensure healthy lives and promote well-being. Reduce maternal mortality to less than 0.07%. That is the women dying as a result of childbirth. Neonatal mortality, that is number of children that die within a month of their birth, to less than 1.2%, and under 5 mortality to less than 2.5%. Deaths and injuries from road accidents by 50%, and end major epidemics and combat diseases across the world by 2030. The fourth one is to improve the quality of education and access to education for all. The fifth one is achieve gender equality and empower women and girls, and also end all forms of discrimination as well as violence against women and ensure inclusiveness. The fifth one is ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, so that everyone in the world will have access to clean water and sanitation. The seventh goal is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable modern energy. The sixth one is about working conditions, promote productive employment and decent work for all in order to ensure inclusive and sustainable economic growth. The ninth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. The goal is to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. The 10th is to reduce inequality within and among countries. The 11th one is about human and its habitat. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The 12th SDG is to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. The 13th is to take action to combat climate change. The 14th is life below water, conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. 15th is life on land. The goal is to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. 16th is promote peace and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. The last but not the least is to form partnerships that will lead to achieving these goals across the globe. Now, you can see that I did not try to explain because for time constraints, but these references that I mentioned earlier, you will find details. The engagement can also continue on the various platforms. Now, how is this implemented in Nigeria? We have the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, who has overall responsibility to ensure coordination and integration of the SDGs into Nigeria's national development plans. Development of actionable framework for implementation at all tiers of government. Ensure consultation takes place and development of partnerships with key stakeholders in the implementation and monitoring of SDGs, including professional bodies like current NSChE and NSChE to bring it closer home. And is also responsible for mobilization of funds in consultation with the Federal Minister of Finance, Minister of Budget and National Planning, as well as the Deputy Management Office. The United Nations Development Program Office in Nigeria provides technical and also a certain level of financial support towards ongoing efforts in integrating the SDGs into development plans at all levels of government. The role of engineering. Looking at all those 17 sustainable development goals, it is very clear there's really no profession in the world that has a bigger role to play than engineering. You take it, you are talking about ending hunger, providing food security. The modern agricultural practice is engineering. Modern harvesting, preservation, prevention of losses, processing, our key areas that we can play. And you take each one we have significant role to play in each. So instead of going into that direction, I decided to look at what are the institutional framework, the institutional provisions that we need to bring in play in order to improve those things that we already been doing in order to ensure life continues on Earth. Now, in paragraph 89 of the Agenda 2030, which we've mentioned earlier, the implementation strategy is listed. So among the groups listed for as partners in the implementation in the science and technology community, for which the World Federation of Engineering Organization is a member. So, and this, the agenda, the World Federation of Engineering Organizations articulated that it is going to pursue in order to achieve this. This is the summary that we provided here. To address the need for, we need to have more engineers by encouraging younger people to take career in engineering. And you clearly know that this is being pursued because we have this school enlightenment program, which is at the heart of the dynamics, chapter dynamics, branch dynamics of NSChE, and also the divisional dynamics. Ensure standards in engineering education addresses the current and future needs of the industry and society, including teaching approaches. Foreign is already undergoing the reform. There's a uniformity in accreditation process, and also the development of engineering graduate engineering practitioners, such that it will address the needs of the employer and also the community. So what this means is that when drawing engineering curricula, the employers have to be taken into account. We need to listen to them. The areas have to, their comments, their issues of concern needs to be addressed because they are the ones that are going to take this, the graduates that are being generated from our institutions. We also need to support mutual recognition of national and international accords and agreements for recognition of qualifications and professional credentials of experience. I've already mentioned this, which currently is pursuing uniformity in accreditation, uniformity in regulation of engineering practice across the world, so that engineers can move from one part of the world to another without any hindrance, without differential in qualification or aptitude. They also put an agenda to build strong relationship with government and policymakers in order to address policy issues related to engineering practice. Lastly, we would commit to ensure consistent regulation and policies, and also establish international projects to advance sustainable development for engineers and engineering across the world. Now, chemical engineering specifically. This demand for sustainability will require us to come up with processes that are safer, that are more compact, that are more flexible, more energy efficient, more socially acceptable, environmentally conducive, and it can achieve rapid commercialization. We remember those three component pillars of sustainable development: economic and technical, social and environmental. So there are four key areas where we can play active role, or where we can make significant difference. In terms of energy, we need to focus on renewable energy resources by developing higher efficiency energy storage materials, because that's where the key challenge is. Solar incidence during the day. In the night, we need to use the stored energy. cogenerational plants, smart grids, distributed generations, where rooftops are turned into solar cells. You generate, you can sell the excess that you do not use. That type of system is already operational in Germany and Japan. Households are making money from their rooftops. We need to process intensification. We need to develop equipment and processing techniques, and also operational methods that will reduce in smaller sizes of equipment, smaller sizes of plant, that will smaller footprints, less energy consumption, but it will dramatically boost input. High output, low input, high output. So that's the this. You look at the reference number 8. There are details under that. Those that are interested in that particular process intensification aspect. Also, we need to mimic nature. We need to produce products that are amenable to nature. Biochemicals, bioethanol, biodiesel, bioplastics that can degrade, as well as biosurfactants. There are people that have been agitating bioethanol and biodiesel will conflict with the goal to provide food for all. But I say no, it's just about policy, about strategy. Brazil is the highest exporter of biofuels in the world. They are also the highest exporter of sugarcane. They are also one of the major exporters of cassava. So it's something that can work. Water is becoming scarce. Water resources is finite. I mean, fresh water, what we can use for drinking is finite. The underground water will keep on abstracting without replenishment. We have issues. The underground water resources regenerates either by a surface water that is nearby or from rain feeding. So if we pump waste into the surface water, it's the same waste that goes into this generating water. So we need to improve our wastewater treatment techniques, our soil remediation methods. Bioremediation is actually the most environmentally friendly method, but it's a very, very slow process. So if we are able to improve and reduce the time it takes, we would have contributed significantly. So here, there are tools, several tools that are being used for environmental impact analysis of processes. You are developing process, you want to compare process A against B, B against C. In most cases, we always check the environmental aspects, but these three tools are very handy and can be applied easily. The waste reduction algorithm, life cycle analysis, or environmental fate and risk assessment tools. Those references will give you details of how those methods can be used. Now, our recommendations. The research and development efforts should be geared towards the promotion of human well-being through the evolution of technologies that are compatible with nature. We need to integrate ecology as a science into engineering curriculum so that engineers will have a very good understanding of nature and allow for a mind shift from our present approaches, where in most cases, we do not look at the social aspects of our engineering design. When we are doing design, we need to take into consideration that there are people that are going to use what we are going to put out there. That is the beneficiaries. There are also another group that will be impacted negatively. There are also others who have an interest in whatever it is. Either it's a regulatory body or a neighbor or somebody that is going to use something maybe secondary or or indirectly. A typical example, when you build a road, you have road safety that is going to control traffic. So at the time you are designing that road, you have to get a road safety on the team, or at least hear from him. Just to give you a simple, very simple example that we see daily. We also need to promote interagency and cross-sectional engagements and collaborations that enhance sustainability of projects. It's not just engineers. In Nigeria, particularly in government, people work in silos. People are very good at marking territories. This is my area, this is my own, this is my project. We need to engage, we need to collaborate. These projects, we are doing it for a specific purpose, to achieve a specific purpose, and that's the only thing that matters. In order to ensure sustainability, we need to collaborate, we need to open up and consult as wide as possible. We need to improve the working conditions of engineers and the operating environment, such that engineer will be able to stand up and say, this is wrong. I cannot put my stamp on this. In most of the time, particularly those that work in government, work under significant influence from politicians or from superiors that are either that are non-engineers or sometimes engineers themselves, but because of vested interests, they apply pressure and certain things are done not properly. This type of question cannot happen in other professions like medicine, for instance, like in law, because they've already put that net in the disease that make them that they will be able to stand out and stand on their ethics. So current NSChE and others divisions need to put engineering on that pedestal. We need to reevaluate our conventional engineering approaches to create a new framework that supports sufficiency by identifying technologies that enable green and sustainable infrastructures to form the building blocks of a sustainable society. We need to introduce cutting-edge technologies, including artificial intelligence. We've talked about quite a lot of them: Internet of Things, robotics, augmented reality, blockchain, etc., in pursuing sustainability in the society. There's a general understanding, and it has been proven, that when you reduce gender inequality, it leads to a better working conditions and improves overall public well-being. Therefore, we need to deliberately encourage women to take up career in engineering. Presently, I know NSChE has this school enlightenment program to encourage younger people to come in, but I'm not aware if there's any program to encourage women. We need to improve our support for humanity by mobilizing more resources for capacity building opportunities for the economic empowerment of vulnerable groups in our society. We are doing this. We have CSR program also in dynamics, which is also a significant component of the NSChE put emphasis on. But we need to improve on this. Encourage our youth through intergenerational and intercultural interactions to lead and co-design SDG-aligned research in consultation with relevant stakeholders. We need to provide support for engineering entrepreneurs in recognition of vital roles of SMEs and large corporations in driving innovation, economic growth, and job creation towards achieving the SDGs. We need to improve our efforts in public advocacy in view of influencing political leaders to use the concept of sustainable development in decision-making process. Now, you see, these are the resources where you can get additional information, and they are all available online. I'm also available online to answer all your questions, and even those questions that you may have later, I'm here for you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Engineer Mamoud, for this presentation. I think it was well taken and quite enriching. Just to summarize, he talked to us on the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Engineer Dadet.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's like you're a little bit far from your mic. I'm having problem hearing. I don't know if I'm alone.
You're not alone. His voice is shaking.
Yeah, if you can get to...
Okay, is it better now? Is it better now?
I think
yeah, it's better.
It's better, but its network may be poor.
I think it's network issue.
It's vibrating.
Okay, so let's go. Okay, let's go. So I can't help it. So very quickly, so just bear with me, please. If it's network, I can't help it. So just bear with me. So we talked about UN Sustainable Development Goals. We started with the carrying capacity of the Earth. Of course, humans have littered the Earth, including oceans as well. And we saw that he mentioned acceleration of human activities that has led to global warming and ocean acidification. He also talked about 3 major paradigms to minimize our collective impacts on the environment, such as improvement in technology, depopulation, and changing global culture. We also saw the 17 sustainable development goals put in place to address such issues. Some which includes reduction in poverty, hunger reduction, healthy lives, and promotion of healthy well-being, access to education, gender equality promotion, clear water, sustainable economic growth, resilient infrastructure, combating of climate change. And we also want to talk about implementation of SDGs in Nigeria, and also the role of engineering. And he came home looking at the specific roles of chemical engineering, which includes energy production, process intensification, bio-based platform chemicals, soil and water remediation, and also looking at the environmental impact assessment tools that would help in alleviating the consequences of the impact of this. And he finally concluded with recommendations for effective engineering contributions to sustainable development goals. So I think it was a well presented topic, and I would like to open the floor for questions, please. So show by raise of hand, and then I will call upon you to present your questions, please.
There are some questions in the chat box already.
I can see. Okay, question in the chat box. Let me go to the chat box. Okay. Now I'm looking at the chat box now. The last chat I see here is from Olumayiwa James. So I'm trying to see the questions. Okay, I don't know, I can't see the questions here, but just go ahead and ask the question, please. Anyone who asks, you can go ahead and ask. And I will moderate.
There's one from Professor Adefla, I think.
Yes.
Which?
Okay, so Prof, go ahead. I'm trying to check. Prof, please go ahead with the question, Prof.
Okay. I think Mamoud has already seen it. Should I raise it now?
Should I respond?
Yes, respond, please go ahead.
Okay, what he says that nature's leading sustainability tactics seems to be that of limiting population in tandem with environmental degradation. This is not in agreement with technology improvement to support present human civilization wishes. We may need to bring in the social scientists to also give us their own dimension. I agree, because I think the most important thing that is missing in engineering this is the social aspect, in order to link our design and this is with the social thing. But if you look at the concept is, we think of the future, the present, and the future. So not just the present civilization, but what is going to happen tomorrow? Energy, where are they going to get their own energy tomorrow? The food, where are they going? Our children, our children's children. So the concept here is, you may have a technology that will be very good, it will support human civilization presently, but if that same technology is going to undermine that future that we are going to talk about, it means it's not sustainable and it's not recommended for use.
Okay, so
I hope at least to the extent of my ability, I think I addressed that comment.
Okay, so Prof, are you satisfied with this?
I am satisfied. I'm satisfied, because if you leave human beings the way we are now, when we finish occupying the earth, which is barely 1/4 of, the soil, which is barely 1/4 of the whole earth, we will start going into the oceans and occupy the oceans. That's the human thinking.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you.
You know.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
But he has.
Are you true, Prof?
I'm also controlling my technology. Yeah. Yes, I agree with him. Honestly, that question, I think he can't answer it better than that. There has to be a balance. Anything that would not agree with the ability of future generation to be able to live the way they want to live, the way we are also living today, is not acceptable. But who will police that? That is the question.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Who will police that? Who will police it?
I appreciate it. Okay, the next question is coming from Perpetua Ngwadike. Perpetua, I can see you are raising up your hand. Are you there?
Yes. Okay. Good evening, everybody. My name is Perpetua. I'm a graduate member of NSChE. Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation.
Yes, go ahead, Perpetua. I can see you are raising your hand.
Yes, my question, and I want just a little contribution and then a question. I want to talk about the goal 7.
You drop your hand now, so I can't see any more hands raised. So so I would like again to thank Engineer Mamoud for this.
Wilson, Perpetua was actually asking her question. She was making contribution. And I think you gave her the floor. Perhaps you are not hearing her.
Okay, I don't know if I can continue now, sir.
You can continue.
I don't know if I can continue. Okay, thank you,
Go
sir.
ahead, continue.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to talk about the goal 7, that is the clean and affordable energy, because I'm currently working on supercapacitors. It's like an energy storage device, and I noticed that not much work has actually been done on it in Nigeria. So I just want to encourage, especially those in the academic field, that we could take up more research into this, because it's an energy storage device and it uses renewable materials. So it's another way we could actually reduce the pollution. And then I want to also beg the researchers, like during my undergraduate project, I worked on biodiesel, but it seemed like we just do the project and nothing is done. Like there's no continuation. Because I know that there are countries that blend biodiesel and bioethanol, but I don't know why it's not working in Nigeria. So I don't know. I would like to get a question, an answer to that. Then thirdly, I know whenever I go to the market, I come back with lots of nylons and the rest of them, and I really don't know what to do with it. But I know that there are some countries that use degradable shopping bags. So I don't know why we cannot implement that in Nigeria. So I think it will go a long way to reduce the pollution and help achieve these SDG goals. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Perpetua. And the work that you are doing on super capacitors is also, we've taken note of that. Now, the question with respect to the use of biofuels in Nigeria, the issue actually is a matter of policy. It's a matter of policy in the sense that government will have to come up with a policy and define the direction it intends to lead us to, in order to have like a kind of energy mix. But I remember I participated in one forum where these issues were being discussed, and there are a lot of opposition to it. There were two groups. One, the one that I mentioned earlier during the presentation, that you use cassava and sugarcane mainly to produce bioethanol. And these are also food. And we have hungry people. So which one do you do first? Is it energy or food? Then there are also this argument that bioethanol or any other biofuel will affect our income from oil. If we encourage that and we are not strong in that yet, it's likely to replace our oil, and we disagree. Now, both arguments I mentioned, I'm not mentioning it again. I'm not going into details again. I gave the example of Brazil. They export cassava, they export bioethanol. And they drink gari, they eat cassava flour, they eat well, they export food. It's a matter of policy. And the comparing oil with bioethanol, one is a fossil fuel that is finite The other one is renewable. You cultivate, you harvest, you produce energy. Next year again, you cultivate. So as long as God is blessing us with rain, which one will you put your resources on? The one that will eventually finish and leave you high and dry, or the one that you can be generating year in, year out? So my one is, the focus should be away from the oil, and the advantage of that about this is that people can participate, people can be doing this thing at the back of their houses. When you sell crude oil, the turnaround time is between 6 months to 1 year. From the date the oil is loaded on the ship, and from the time the money will come and make impact on the citizen here. Because it's sold on 90 days credits. Money is received 90 days after it is supplied. The money goes somewhere and it stays somewhere. They will budget a project, appropriate, and all this before it will go through. But if somebody that is producing fertilizer, cassava, you harvest, you produce ethanol, you'll be able to sell on a macro scale. You get instant. This is so we are also addressing that social aspect more with that. So I think it's a matter of policy and also improving our advocacy, enlightening the politicians so that they will take the right decision. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mamoud, for that contribution. Also, thank you, the engineer that raised it. We have overshot the time for this technical presentation, and you all agree with me that it's actually please confirm that you can still hear me.
Hello, good afternoon.
Confirm you can hear me, please confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, you are breaking. I can't hear you very well.
Okay.
Hello, this is Rahim Alabi. Can I go ahead?
Very quickly, please. We have overshot our time.
Okay.
Very quickly, please.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to appreciate the presenter and the people that have contributed. And I just want to clarify or seek more information about, for instance, I want to look at Atlantic Beach. This Atlantic City, yes. Atlantic City, as you can see, that beach was unfair. And as we all know that when you surface ocean like that, the water is going to go to area where there are low land. And I believe in the future, this will affect people around Lekki side and all that. And also to discharge our water, rainwater from terrestrial area to the ocean might be difficult, because that, I don't know, is there anybody in Nigeria that has that capacity, an agency, to approve that kind of project after looking at environmental impact assessment and ensure that it's not going to compromise the sustainable development goal? That's just area I want some clarification. Thank you, sir.
Rahim, all projects have benefits, and they also have their impact. But that Eco-Atlantic, they actually go through normal process to get the approval that they got. And personally, based on my knowledge and understanding of environmental issues, Eco-Atlantic is a good project. It will help tame the ocean that always overflow its bank and flood areas around in Victoria Island. So what they did is to produce like a kind of embankment. So instead of building an embankment, they built an embankment and put a project on it. There are measures in the environmental impact assessment that was carried out. It's a study that was carried out for like about 4 years, stretching. They did ocean current study, bathymetry, a lot of studies has gone into it. So if all the mitigation measures in that report are implemented, we will not have, there will be no disaster coming from that project. There are also similar projects coming up around that area. In Snake Island and even Escaravos, they are trying to do some kind of sampling, and even somewhere in Focados.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm just concerned about the water displaced from those areas. Where are they going to? They will surely go to where there are lowlands.
It's pushed back. It's pushed back. And if you also observe, if you've been to either any of the beaches, you will see that that project is going to be implemented in phases. There are some breaks, like current breaks that are being put in place. Even when you are in Elegushi Beach that is a little bit far from there, you will see them.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that information. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Mamoud, beyond that, sir, I think we were told that this place, which is being reclaimed now, some 50 to 100 years ago, was land. It was land. But when the Apapa Beach, when the Apapa something was being built, so environmental impact assessment had not reached this level. And most of the places that have been eaten up today now is as a result of the building of the Apapa. But like Mamoud said, all these things are being taken care of in and when they are complied with, all will be well.
Thank you, sir, Prof, for that further information, sir.
Okay, so I think I want to confirm that you can hear me, please. Can you hear me?
Hello, Engineer Dadet.
Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Huh? You are breaking.
Yes, yes, we are trying to hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Please, I would like Professor Adefila to give us closing remarks, please. Professor Adefila, closing remarks, please.
Okay.
Professor Adefila to give closing remark. That's why
I'm hearing him.
Close.
I'm hearing him.
Okay, sir.
I don't know. I'm sure somebody else will give a vote of thanks. So I'm just going to stop at closing remarks. My remarks.
I think you can go ahead and vote the thanks.
Okay. Okay. Let me do both together then. Once more, we really thank everybody that has come here. I can see that dedicated people are here. I'm sure some of those people that missed must be just for some reasons, here and there. And you could see that at a particular point in time, our population rose to about 33 or 35, 33, 35, and then it changed again. I'm sure some people are praying, some women are going to cook for their families, and so on and so forth. So there is no doubt that we've benefited immensely from this lecture today. And it's going to be food for thought for us for quite some time. I must thank Engineer Mamoud. This is the second time he's giving us lectures, and we could see that those lectures are really extremely useful, to the extent that one of the lectures which he gave the other time, he was made to convert it to a journal publication. And many people have actually commented to me personally that they have enjoyed it. I think that publication is something which every CEO will need on his table. And it will make life cheaper for them. There's no doubt about that. I believe that all these faces which I'm looking at, one after the other, will start giving lectures very, very soon. And I want to encourage all of us to do that, please. We can always benefit from each other. The organizers, there is no doubt that you have done very, very well. Please, since Mamoud is the coordinator, I'm sure he will put in all these sustainability measures to ensure that this one continues. There's no doubt about that. We trust that we do that. I'm sure I can commend you people to the national president and the deputy national president, though they trust that you are doing well. That's why they didn't bother to attend. They know that you are doing very well. So thank you very much once again. We thank everybody for coming, and we believe that everybody will come and give lecture one after the other so that we can also enjoy you like we're enjoying these people. Thank you very much. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for that closing remarks as well. Thank you, message. We are highly appreciative. So, in closing, I'd like to call on Ms. Rafi to give us a closing prayer. Ms. Rafi, there.
Ms. Rafi, closing prayer.
Good evening, sirs. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ms. Tura, yes. our new secretary of the group.
Thank you very much. We are hearing you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to appreciate everybody for coming up to this presentation today. It's indeed a great presentation. I'm sorry for joining late. I had to go for another program, so I'm coming in late. So to say my prayer in order not to waste time, I pray for more knowledge being gained from Engineer Mamoud to all others members of this sectorial group. I hope we get more of it from other members, not only from Engineer Mamoud, but from me as a young member of this sectorial group. I pray for more knowledge, wisdom, and guidance on every member of the society. I pray for more blessings and guidance through all our endeavors. Amen. Thank you, sirs.
Amen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Well done, Mamoud. Mamoud.
Well done, sir.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Professor Ijoma, thank you for coming.
Thank you for a nice presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah.